right? So I just did a live yesterday, and what the Lord was showing me was amazing. And I just wanted to do a condensed version of it for those who are not going to sit and watch an hour of the live. But what he was talking to me about is these destiny steps. God has, and I wrote about that a little bit in my blog. But what God was showing me is that for many, God has this task, this step, this thing before them that he's been desiring them to do, but yet they don't want to do it. And what the Lord was talking to me about is people are finding themselves trying to do everything else but what God is requiring them to do, the destiny step. They find themselves getting frustrated, irritated, wondering why it's taking so long, wondering why things aren't working. But they don't understand at this point, all they're doing is causing the frustration, causing the irritation, causing the delay, because they won't do the destiny step required for them to actually make progress. The interesting thing he was telling me is, it's similar to a person that is giving birth. When you're giving birth, people know that you've been through a journey. You ever meet anybody that's 9 months pregnant, baby, they are tired, they are exhausted, they are weary. You can see that they are over it. They don't been over it for a while. You can see the wear and tear on them. And it's interesting how at the point where they are at their worst, where they now have to, in this birthing process, go through the most difficult, challenging, hardest thing they will ever do in their entire life, which is give birth. At the point where they're at their weakest, at the point where they're over the whole process, they now have to do the most strenuous activity in every aspect of their being. But listen to this. The doctor knows this. The nurses know this. They know you're tired. They know that you're weak. They know how hard and challenging this process is. But yet, they still are going to encourage you, motivate you to do it, because you have to do it. It has to get done. See, they know something that you don't. They understand in this moment that you were created for this. You were built for this. So you have the strength. You have what's needed to be able to do it. Even when you feel like you can't, you don't. You can, and you must. See, you can lay out on a table and feel like you want to give up, but there's something that is pushing you to have to do this, you know. And the Lord was showing me that in this process, God knows you're tired, you're weary, you're at your weakest. But it's time to give birth. And even though you feel like you can't do this thing that God is asking you to do, you were built for it, baby. You were made for it. God's not going to call you to do something that it's not within your ability through him to be able to do. You can do it, and you must. You must. Stop giving in to the fact that you're tired, that you're weak, that you can't. Okay. Admit that. But know that you got a birthing that has to happen. And you got to finish this thing out with the Lord. So there were a few things that the Holy Spirit was showing me that makes it so that a woman is able to give birth even though she's at his weakest point, so you can apply to your journey. 1, she must. There's no other choice. She must. She has to. Everybody knows she must. You can't let the baby stay inside and die and just remain there. It's going to become toxic and it's going to destroy the body. The baby got to come out. Some of y'all know in this walk you must. You can't go back into the world. There's no other option. There's no other way. The door has been closed. You must. You've been running long enough. You've been in cycles long enough. You've been holding things off long enough. You must. Second thing is, it's only for a short period of time. You're not going to be giving birth forever. You have a step in front of you that you must do. And yes, it is going to be the most hardest, the most difficult thing you ever done in your life. There's going to be some suffering involved. You're going to have to push real hard. But once when it's done, it's done. You get to now enjoy what's on the other side. Some of y'all, God has called you to do it, and it's just the hump that you got to get over. It's just the thing you got to get through. It's just the step you got to take. But it's only for a solid period of time that you have to do that, to push through, to give the birth. It's not going to be forever. So you just going to have to get through that period of time that's needed to do what you have to do, and then it's done. The last thing is that what's going to be on the other side is going to be worth all of that. It's going to be worth the 9 months. It's going to be worth the years of travail that you done been through. It's going to be worth that consolidated period of suffering and hardship that you will have to go through. You're going to have a baby on the other side that now you're going to care for and tend for, and that you will have with you for time to come. It's going to be beautiful. Whatever God is having you give birth to, my goodness, it's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so worth it. So understand, so many people now, you got to get this. There are nurses and doctors, they all waiting for this birthing. The nurses got resources. They are waiting for the birth, and when this birth happened, they about to go to work. They ready to grab this baby. They about to clean it up. They about to make sure they check the vitals. Everything's good. They are standing on standby, just waiting, just waiting. See, some people are asking for the resources of God, and God is like, why? You haven't birthed the thing that requires any resources. You got to understand, all of creation is waiting for your unfolding, for your unveiling. Once when you do the step, once when you do what God is asking you to do, you gonna see all the resources coming through. You don't understand. You got angels waiting on you to move. You got chariots of fire in the spiritual. They all ready for this thing to be birthed. You got things in the natural. You got people with the opportunity that's waiting. Resources, money, knowledge, skill set, mentors, all of this, that God's just waiting. Once when you birth this thing, I'm about to say go. And you got to understand, when I say go, the entire cosmos has to respond. But it's all hinged upon you giving birth. Take the step that God is asking you to take. You can't get around it. You can't get over it. You can't sidestep it. You think you're doing a whole lot, but you're really on a treadmill going nowhere. You're on a hamster wheel going nowhere. You gotta take the step. Do what God is asking you to do. It's time in this hour to give birth. You're tired. You're weary. You're exhausted. You're at your worst in your life. But it's time. And you can do it. Because God is calling you to do it. So if you like this video, make sure you like it. Make sure you comment. Let me know your thoughts about it. And subscribe. Say today I take the step.